Hi, so this is a quick video on how to solve one-step equation. So for the beginning, we're just going to use some mental math to solve it. We're not going to be too picky with how we're showing our work, but essentially anytime you have a letter, so j plus 4 equals to 12, j just stands for something that we don't know. So we're going to call this our variable. And then our numbers that are by themselves are called constants. So in this case, we actually have two constants. 4 and 12 is also a constant. Numerical coefficients are the ones before letters. So for example, if I have 8x, this 8 would be my numerical coefficient. That tells me how many times I'm multiplying my variable by. In this case, we don't have anything touching the j, so do we still have a numeric coefficient? Well, yes. By default, if we don't see a number, there's actually a 1 there. So our numerical coefficient is just 1. I have one single j. Okay, in order to solve it, let's think about this. A random number plus 4 gets me to 12. That means I have to think backwards, so 12 minus 4, that must mean that j equals to 8. In this one over here, that y is my variable. 15 minus some sort of number gets me to 5. So if I'm working backwards, 15 take away 10 would get me to 5. This last one over here tends to be a bit tricky for students, so I kind of think about this in terms of a number line. If the answer is 17, and then a letter minus 9 gets me to 17, then minus 9 is going in a left direction on the number line. So coming down 9 steps to get to 17 means that random d must be bigger than 17. So to find d must be equal to 17 plus 9. D is actually 26. Okay, so for this one over here, let's try and formalize how we show our work. When it's one step, it's kind of easy to do in your head, but as we move forward in both math and science, you're going to get equations that have multi-steps, and it becomes difficult to do without being organized. So first thing I always do is just rewrite n plus 7 equals to 26. And then I just imagine this line going down the equal sign. So it doesn't really exist there. We're going to stop using that line eventually, but there's this barrier and you can't go between the two sides. If you think about your equal sign works like a scale. So your left side is the same as your right side. It's very balanced. What we need to do is we have to get the letter by itself. So if I just highlight the letter, I need the letter to be by itself. Right now on the side of the equation, there's a plus 7. So to get rid of that plus 7, I have to do the opposite operation. And the opposite of plus 7 is minus 7. So plus 7 minus 7, that's a 0. So that gets rid of it. Now the only thing I have left on this side is n. Perfect. But anything I do to the left side, I have to do to the right side. That's because it works like a balance beam, right? So if I only did it to one side, it's going to be unbalanced. So I also have to put this negative 7 on this side. So now if I solve it, 26 minus 7 is 19. So this gets me to n equals to 19. Notice it also says to check my answer. To double check that I got the right number, I'm just going to plug it back in. So n plus 7 equals to 26. I'm going to pop it back in and put it as 19 plus 7 equals to 26. And 19 plus 7 is 26. So working vertically, and 26 is over here. So 26 equals to 26. Good. Let's try the other one. So I have d minus 3 equals to negative 5. Once again, I'm going to imagine that there's a line straight through the equal sign. The first thing I want to do is make sure I line up my other equal sign, so I will be perfectly vertical. And I'm just going to highlight my variable. So I need to get this d by itself. Right now, the only other thing on the side of the equal sign is that negative 3. So to get rid of that negative 3, I'm going to add 3. If I take away 3 and add 3, that's a 0, so it's gone. But as soon as I do it to the left side, I have to do it to the right-hand side. So now if I take a look at the left, it's just a d by itself, and that equals to negative 2. To double check my answer, I'm going to plug it back in. So negative 2 minus 3 equals to negative 5. Negative 5 equals to negative 5. That looks good. It's really, okay, lastly, let's take a look at this word problem. So Jeremy's car tank is almost empty. He fills in the tank by putting in 42 liters of gas. If the capacity is 55 liters, how much was in the tank before the fill up? Okay, first thing we need to write an equation. So to write an equation, let's see, I'm filling it in and I'm putting in 42 liters of gas and it's equaling to 55. So it's really, let's say, empty tank plus 42 liters equals to 55. So now I have my equation. To find my variable, so I'm going to write on the side, let T be the amount of gas before filling. So I'm just going to let people know what that letter stands for. And then I'm going to start by doing the same thing. So putting my equal sign right underneath and then highlighting my variable. So to get T by itself, the only thing on the same side of the equal sign is that plus 42. Opposite of plus 42 is negative 42. So that will get rid of that, but I also have to do it to the right side. So now if I take a look, only thing on the left side is that T, and that right side, 55 minus 42 is 13. So solve it by doing the opposite, show your work, verify your answer. So let's plug it back in and see. 13 plus 42 equals to 55. And then that gives me 55 equals to 55. That looks good. Because it's a word problem, answer it as a complete sentence. So Jeremy's car had 13 liters before the fill up. All right, hopefully that gives you a good start of solving one-step equations.